Well, moving on now, Wednesdays here on the program, we'd like to put the spotlight on the farm women's group, Common Ground.
Common Ground is a group of farm women who want to be a resource for consumers who want to know more about how their food is grown. In this segment, we are hearing from a volunteer from the Farnham area on how producers are working to restore their fields after being damaged by wildfires.
Well, Nebraska producers were dealing with wildfires earlier this year in many parts of the state, including southwest Nebraska. And now the question is, what happens next with their fields? Joining me now with more on this is Molly Aden with Common Ground. Molly, it's good to see you today.
Good to see you, John. Yes, the wildfires were absolutely devastating to quite a few areas of our state. And that impacted farmers and ranchers pretty heavily. I want to touch base on how that affected them, some things that they're having to consider because of those fires. One of the things to consider is how hot the fire burned. So the temperature outside was high, the winds were really high, and it burned all that dead plant material and blew it off the field. And that's important because one, in higher fire temps, certain nutrients have burning points. So nitrogen and sulfur have the lowest burning point. So they would have possibly lost those nutrients to volatilization or oxidation. One of the other things to think about is the soil microbes and the organic matter that was burnt in the first 1 or 2 inches of the soil and how that affects water retention. That also burned up that nitrogen that's in that organic matter. Soil erosion was a really big issue. Highways were shut down because wind was blowing the dust so bad across the field. And in that case, growers wanted to get something planted right away. Once we got moisture to protect that soil from erosion, help it attain water, and improve soil quality. So in that, like I said, those cover crops, I know a lot of oats were planted, possibly some barley, maybe some other feed crops that could get growing right away to help that get started. Also in those cover crops, it can provide forage for some of those ranchers that lost their pasture to the fire. We have gotten some moisture that has helping those pastures start to rebound. So those cover crops could be pretty important for forage for those cattle. Some of the pivot tires or their nozzles, or maybe even certain parts of their motor were destroyed from that fire. So growers are having to farm some of their irrigated cropland as dry land. Just some different things, but growers know that soil quality is really important, and they're going to do whatever they can to help improve their land back to what it was.